Good evening and welcome to NTD UK News. I'm Stuart Leeson here. Today's top stories. The UK is sending urgent medical equipment to India as the country continues to struggle with a tsunami of new cases. The ex-post office chief quits her board jobs after the Court of Appeal quashed convictions on some sub-postmasters. And Falun Gong practitioners held a peaceful protest outside the Chinese embassy in London, marking the anniversary of a historic event in China. India remains at the current center of the global CCP virus pandemic, with cases doubling every 10 days in the country of almost 1.4 billion people. The UK and other European countries are sending medical equipment and supplies to the country. Please be warned, this piece contains some distressing images.
The Foreign Office says the UK will send 9 plane loads of life-saving kit to India as the country wrestles with a deadly second wave of the CCP virus cases. The move follows discussions with the Indian government, and further consignments are due to be dispatched later this week.
The aim is to provide the support that the Indians need at their hour of need, really, if judging by the distressing scenes we've seen in many of the hospitals in India.
Britain is sending vital medical equipment. The first shipment of over 600 items, including ventilators and oxygen concentrator devices, is expected to arrive on Tuesday. The supplies are drawn from surplus UK stocks.
We want to provide them all the support because they're close friends, increasingly important partners, but also we need this kind of international collaboration if we're going to get through the pandemic.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson expressed his concern last week about the situation in India during his trip to Hartlepool United Football Club.
I am very concerned about the COVID situation. I was very sad to have to cancel the trip because India is a great partner, a great friend of ours, but it was just absolutely essential to do.
At that time, he was looking at what could be done to help the country, with ventilators top of the agenda.
Thanks to the ventilator challenge, the huge efforts of British manufacturers, we're better able now to deliver ventilators to other countries, but also possibly with therapeutics, dexamethasone, other things will.
Monday is the 5th straight day that India has set a new daily record for new infections, with over 350,000 confirmed cases. It takes the country's total number of COVID-19 cases to be over 17 million. The death toll on Monday from the disease is over 2,800. Hospitals in the country are begging for oxygen supplies as its health system buckles under the pressure. In Delhi, people are dying on the pavement outside one of the city's biggest hospitals, and wards overflow with patients inside. People are dying so suddenly and frequently that there is little dignity for the deceased and their grieving relatives.
Yesterday we came here with our father, just here, but no one came to see him. He just shouting that see me, no one came, he died. And now I came with my grandfather, no one seen.
The emergency room of the hospital is crammed with critically ill patients, distraught family members and exhausted staff.
I have a message for the government. Please do something and please release some oxygen supply. People need it here. People need beds here. People need meds here. People need wards here. People need injections. People need medicines.
The Prime Minister Narendra Modi is urging all citizens to get vaccinated and to exercise caution, while hospitals and doctors put out urgent notices saying that they are unable to cope with the influx. In some of the worst-hit cities, such as New Delhi, bodies were being burnt in makeshift facilities, offering mass cremations. A local TV station broadcast images of 3 health workers pulling a body along the ground on its way to cremation as stretchers ran short. Besides Britain, other countries are also sending urgent medical aid to India. Germany and France have pledged to send oxygen and medical supplies, and the European Commission said it would respond to an appeal from Delhi for help.
And in other news, meditators on Sunday stood opposite the Chinese embassy in the UK, marking a moment that would later shape events in modern-day China. Here's NTD's Jane Worrell with more.
Facing the Chinese embassy, Falun Gong practitioners hold a peaceful protest. For many, it's a familiar sight, but just over a couple of decades ago, this spiritual practice was little known. That changed on the 25th of April, 1999, when 10,000 Falun Gong practitioners turned up at the central government building in Beijing, peacefully protesting for their right to practice their faith in Falun Gong's principles of truth, compassion and tolerance. But less than 3 months later, the Chinese Communist Party instigated its notorious persecution against Falun Gong. That's why people are protesting here 22 years later. They say that the peaceful April 25th appeal in 1999 was manipulated to justify a brutal persecution. The hatred, propaganda and torture continues to this day.
I don't have my mom in my life many years.
Xiaotong's mother is still jailed in China for her faith.
My parents divorced because of my father was threatened by the company because if my parents still keep practicing Falun Gong, they will lose their jobs. So my mom has been in jail and lost her job already, so my father is really scared about this.
The Chinese human rights lawyer who tried to help her mother be released from jail was stripped of his license. Many families have been forced apart by the persecution. Ming Huiyu's mother was jailed again recently.
She was talking to a person about her belief. The student reported her as a Falun Gong practitioner. I feel very sad for what happened to my mom again.
Among those marking the April 25th protest was fashion model Pooja Moore.
We are here to say we need a freedom of our conscience, and we should be able to believe in anything that we want to. If you're not even allowed to believe in truthfulness, compassion and forbearance, which stands for everything good in the world, then what else do you believe in?
This year there's a little more distance and some face masks, but every April the 25th, as long as the persecution hasn't ended, these meditators will be facing the Chinese embassy, appealing for freedom of belief. Jane Worrell, NTD News, London.
The theft of catalytic converters has seen a marked rise since the start of the first lockdown over a year ago. That's based on data from the RAC and insurer Ageas.
Amid a spike in the value of precious metal, thieves are targeting catalytic converters from cars. Currently, almost 30% of thefts from private vehicles in the UK are catalytic converter thefts, which was at just below 20% before the pandemic. Most thefts happen while the cars are parked at home, either in the driveway or on the road. Criminals steal catalytic converters for the precious metals inside them, such as platinum and rhodium. An RAC spokesman says that the drivers are often oblivious that their vehicle's catalytic converter has been stolen, and that the patrols are often called to attend cars that have suddenly become excessively noisy. He said on investigation it is very often the case that the car's catalytic converter has been stolen. Catalytic converters form just one component of a car, part of a car's exhaust system. But the claims director at Ageas says that their theft can often result in the driver's car being written off. Metals such as platinum and rhodium fetch high prices on the black market.
Tributes are pouring into a young man who died last Saturday trying to rescue a woman from the Thames. 20-year-old Olubunmi-Adewole, or Jimmy to friends, died after jumping into the River Thames at around midnight on Saturday, after seeing a woman fall from London Bridge. His father, Michael Adewole, said his son was a hero and he was proud of him. Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, said that he was the best of us. He called him a true hero of our city who gave his life trying to save another. Home Secretary Priti Patel also praised his truly selfless act of heroism. And in other news, older workers are seeing the biggest fall in jobs since the 80s. A new report says government schemes should not benefit the young at the expense of the old. NTD's Patrick Hayden takes a look.
Older workers are experiencing the biggest unemployment hit since the 1980s due to the pandemic. That's according to a new report by the Resolution Foundation. The report says workers aged 50 to 64 saw a more than 38% drop in jobs for the period December 2020 to February 2021, compared to the same period a year earlier. That's more than double the impact on younger workers. Older workers are more likely to find themselves out of work for longer than other age groups, and they're likely to have more financial commitments. The report says over the past 2 decades, workers over the age of 50 earn almost 10% less in a new job after being unemployed. That's more than double the 30 to 49-year-olds. The Resolution Foundation says the government programme should not benefit the young at the expense of the old. It says the recent Restart support scheme for the long-term unemployed is doing just that. The foundation suggests a tax credit scheme for the elderly returning to work, as generally they take the biggest hit being off work. It cites the New Deal 50 plan from the 2000s as a previous scheme that did this. Patrick Hayden, NTD News, London.
Still to come, British-Iranian charity worker Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe receives a further 1-year sentence by the Iranian regime. That and more when we return.